You said you had no experience with meditation before. So how did you knew that this awakening or this experience that you had related to meditation and maybe something like Zen Buddhism?
Well, I didn't know at that moment about Zen. In that moment, I was in a state of meditation. It's like the big mind work that I'm doing right here in Germany and all over the world now. I naturally was in a meditative state, in a state of mind of absolute peace, joy, and harmony. And I didn't need to do anything. I wasn't trying to meditate. It was just a spontaneous awakening where I was in a meditative state. So that evening, my friends and I got back together, and my good buddy had been just gotten his PhD in psychology, and he had studied various psychology, and he had also studied Eastern religion. And I was telling him what happened, and he said, "It sounds like you had a Zen experience." And he said, "You sound like a Zen master." I had no idea what Zen was. I had no idea what a Zen master was. But that, I think, triggered something. He gave me a book when we went back to his place, Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I read that book, and that opened me up to an Eastern thought, an Eastern way of thinking. And then I began to research everything. Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, started studying yoga, like the autobiography of a yogi. And Zen seemed to fit the most. It really resonated with me. And the Zen is what I started to really practice. But at the moment of the opening or the awakening, I didn't label it Zen. It was just something happened, and I had no name for it, no label for it. Just my mind opened up without any kind of borders, or it was an experience of no boundaries, no borders, no walls.
Is this an experience that you had then again when you were studying, or was it just one peak experience and then you tried to find out what happened?
Well, it's an interesting question. Actually, I had numerous experiences during that year, many experiences, and it was like being in the same reality, but from different perspectives. So like if you're sitting in this same room, you and I both have very different perspective of this room. Your perspective, you see what I don't see, and I see what you don't see. And if you have 100 different people in this room, there'll be 100 different perspectives, and on and on. So in pursuing this, I decided to find myself a Zen teacher after a year alone in the mountains. And in March of 1972, I attended a retreat in Los Angeles with the Zen-Master by the name of Maizumi Roshi, or Zen-Master Maizumi. And I became his disciple and became his second Dharma heir or successor in 1980. This started in 72. And then in 1995, he passed away, he died. And I became a Zen-Master the following year in 1996 from my elder Dharma brother, Roshi Bernie Glassman, who Roshi Bernie Glassman became his first heir, and I was his second. Then in '94, while I was here in Europe, and it was actually in Amsterdam, leading retreats all around Europe, that I had another profound experience that was actually dropping the enlightenment, or letting go of that. And that's what really put me on this path of opening Zen up to the world. Because before that, I was really teaching a very traditional Zen practice, very traditional, where we would sit for as much as 10 hours a day and do a very difficult schedule, very disciplined. And that experience started to open me up to a whole nother way of wanting to share the truth of the Dharma or the teachings with others. But it took me another 5 years to discover how to do that. So it was actually in '99. In '97, what you mentioned was a kind of breakthrough with my children. I was working with them on voice dialogue, which was a Western psychological therapy teaching or therapy, and we were making a long drive from Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, to New Mexico, Santa Fe, New Mexico, and it's about 1,000 miles, I think. And I was driving a VW Westphalia, and it doesn't go very fast, as you know, and we were going up and down mountains, and it was taking forever to get there. And I didn't bring any toys for my little kids, and my son, I think at that time, was 11 or 12, and my daughter was 7 or 8. So I started playing voice dialogue with them, and what I realized in doing that I was able to actually bring about an experience with them where they actually could experience moving outside themselves, beyond themselves, at a very young age and without any prepping. And then it took me still another 2 years to discover what I labeled the big mind, big heart work that I do now. So that experience or that teaching goes all the way back to 71, because that was my experience in 71. However, it took me 28 years to discover how to make this really accessible and non-threatening to everyone, everywhere, who wishes to do it. And there isn't a person I've met, if they want to do it, that really is unable to. If we get stuck in our head and we try to analyze it and judge it, it's more difficult, and I have to sometimes work harder with the people. But generally, anybody can do this experience, from young to old, and with any background, and they don't have to have any spiritual meditation background whatsoever. And even people are getting it reading the book. That was a mind blower for me. First, it was the DVDs. We started with the DVDs, and I discovered that people were able, through the DVD, to have an awakening experience. And this is unheard of. This has never happened in 2,500 years. And then I wrote the book with the hope that people could actually get it by reading the book. And I've had so many comments back saying that they were able to. So that thrills me, of course, because my whole purpose in life right now is helping people wake up and raise the level of consciousness on this planet, because I think it's desperately needed. And you know, there's so many of us trying to do the same work, all trying to help people wake up and raise the level of consciousness. And I just feel that we all got to do our share in that work, because if we don't and we end up where we're headed, it's disastrous for this planet and for us as human beings. So, you know, I'm probably working harder right now than I ever have in my life, with more hours and less rest. At my age, I just turned 64 last week.
Congratulations.
Thank you, on June 3rd. I just feel that, you know, there's such a demand and a need for all of us to experience our oneness, our big heart consciousness, or what I call wisdom and compassion.